The film you are about to watch is the live recording of an original piece of theatre entitled You Can't Sit With Us, presented to an audience at the University of South Wales Atrium Building in August 2022. 4 European organisations from Wales, Bulgaria and Slovenia came together in partnership to develop theatre as an inclusive practice. This 2-year project trained a group of young people who have experienced exclusion due to disability, displacement, gender, sexual orientation or socio-economic circumstances. The young workshop leaders were trained by experts in devised theatre, theatre of the oppressed, theatre of the senses and verbatim theatre, and have gone on to create their own inclusive theatre practice. Against all odds, due to the COVID-19 restrictions faced during this period, all partners came together in Cardiff in August 2022. The outcome was the creation of this original piece of theatre based on the young people's experiences. The young people in the production are aged between 18 and 30. The audio description describes these young people as participants. They wear casual clothes of their own, fit for the summer when the performance took place. In the rehearsal process, the young people were divided into mixed groups, and each group worked with the newly trained workshop leaders. These workshop leaders make up part of the audience at the Atrium Building. The stage area is a plain charcoal grey floor, with black curtains at the back and sides. In front of the curtains are chairs, which the participants sit on when they are not performing. The chairs are plain black with metal legs. When the participants are sitting around the sides, they have a neutral expression and remain in worlds of their own. The central chair at the rear of the space is covered in a tangle of red wool. None of the participants sit here. Some help to guide their fellow participants from their chairs to the stage and back again to their places when they are not performing. At these moments, the audio description refers to them as guide participants. The performance has been recorded from the point of view of someone sitting in the middle of the audience looking slightly down onto the stage. For this reason, certain audience members inadvertently appear. The back of someone's head on the right-hand side of the first few rows, and 2 other people sitting further back, closer to the position of the camera. Towards the end of the performance, a parent holds up their baby in the front left corner. The sound of the baby comes first, during an early moment of darkness. An electronic sound signals this change into darkness. Throughout the performance, 3 successive beeps cue the arrival of a participant to the front of the stage, where they speak to the audience. The 3rd beep is the longest, and they are then illuminated in a white spotlight. The use of a white spotlight to highlight the person speaking happens at other moments during the performance. At the very start, the stage is full with all 21 participants. 2 of these are out of sight of the camera on the edges of the stage, but soon join everyone else. The stage is bathed in a gentle white light. Each person has a comfortable amount of room, enough space to carry out a gesture or action, which represents a word, a phrase, an emotion or feeling. At the front of the stage, 4 participants sit on chairs and 2 sit on the floor. The rest stand behind, with neutral expressions, and look out to the audience. Their body language is open and easy, arms hang loosely by their sides, hands are clasped in front or behind. The performance begins with just words, but it's not long before these words are accompanied by repetitive actions and gestures, which they show in their own time. And at this moment, their body language changes from being open to being defensive and withdrawn. At the front of the stage, 4 of the 6 participants get to their feet. 1 hides behind their hands, timid and fragile. Another, on the right of the stage, rocks back and forth with their arms pushing out and closing in. This person builds to a climax, eventually holding their head and shouting out, "Stop!" 2 others at the front stay sitting. With their knees tucked up to their chests, they cradle their legs and close in on themselves. The participants behind reveal a mix of repetitive actions. Some go back and forth from a neutral position to a place of defensiveness. They shield themselves, they push away, they fold their arms, they point, they crumple over and cry out. Others maintain a position of difficulty throughout. One person holds their head, cowering and swaying. the stage transforms into a tapestry of powerful gestures which come straight from the heart. The film runs for just under 40 minutes. And that brings us to the end of this introduction. The participants voice their feelings accompanied with an action.
No. No. No.
Get away.
No.
Get away.
No.
Get away.
No.
Uncertain.
No.
Get away.
No.
Uncertain.
Get away.
No.
Uncertain.
Isolation.
Uncertain.
No.
I'm sad.
Uncertain.
I'm lonely.
No.
I'm sad. I'm lonely.
I'm sick of feeling
sad.
lost.
I'm
sick of
lonely.
feeling lost.
I'm sad.
I'm sick of feeling lost.
I'm sad.
I'm sick of
I'm
feeling
lonely.
lost.
I'm sad.
sick of
I'm
feeling
lonely.
lost.
I'm sad.
feeling lost.
I'm lonely.
I'm sick of
I'm
feeling
sad.
lost.
I'm
I'm sick of
sad.
feeling lost.
I'm
I'm
sad.
sick of feeling lost.
I'm sad.
They all change into neutral positions. Their gestures transform to ones of love and belonging, highlighted by the voiceover and their tender whispering.
Is feeling isolated. Inclusion is feeling you belong.
Some of the participants hold themselves.
Exclusion is seeing the world around you without being. Inclusion is breaking the glass and building.
Exclusion is being held out to something. Inclusion is working hard to make it accessible.
Exclusion is back in the auditorium, looking at the stage wishing you were up there half. Inclusion is being up there center stage, living your best life half.
The participants gradually melt away.
Exclusion is being pushed away. Inclusion is being welcomed back in.
7 participants remain.
Is feeling invisible in a room full of people. Inclusion is having those people interact with you.
With a beep, the stage darkens.
Exclusion is a lonely journey. Inclusion is a welcome hand.
Exclusion is being left out. Inclusion is like being invited to the party.
Exclusion is being left over. Inclusion is being strong.
The stage brightens to reveal a spaced-out group of 7 participants with neutral expressions in worlds of their own. One of them, in a red top, has a red ball of wool. Another participant provides audio description.
We are a group of 7 people on the stage. 2 of us are sitting, one on the chair and one on the floor.
With their head bowed.
4 of us are standing. The last person is walking around and putting the red thread around our wrists and bodies. We are also a group that have been working together for last past days and creating a safe space in which we share our experience of being excluded and also the times when we felt included. Red thread symbolized the connection of these moments. It symbolized the realization that we are not alone in our exclusion, in our oppression. It also symbolized the realization that we can fight exclusion together as a community.
As each participant speaks in turn, the person with the wool drifts around the group, so the network of red wool continues to grow.
So I have endometriosis. People don't realise the pain I go through on a daily basis. This is because I choose not to tell anyone for fear of being judged due to the environment that I'm in. I'm at university studying acting, and therefore sometimes the atmosphere can be competitive. We also have to be professional. I do a lot of stage management, meaning that sometimes tasks can be difficult due to the pain that I'm in. I sometimes feel excluded from activities with friends because sometimes I'm not able to to do them due to being in pain. This makes me feel very isolated. People could say, well, why don't you reach out to groups? I do this sometimes, but when I'm referred to as her or girl, I find this really disheartening. This is because I use they, them pronouns, which means that it makes it difficult for me to tell people about my illness. But aside from this is predominantly a woman's problem, and it shouldn't be hidden away. We are all equal and we're all human, and therefore we should be able to tell anyone if we're struggling.
The person with the wool ducks under the thread into the middle.
What do you see when you look at me? If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. I'm visually impaired, but it is the truth. This is my truth. The way it affects my life is monumental. It impacts my relationships, my family, and my friendships. They just don't seem to understand me. But the definition of me in your mind is not my responsibility. I'm just trying to live my life the best way I can, the only way I can. I want to have a prosperous future, but between me and you, I can't seem to see that sometimes.
During their story, the participant in the middle sweeps their cane in an arc back and forth. The person with the wool ducks under and steps over the thread, continuing their journey.
Бях на 12 години, първата ми година в новото ми училище. С коса ми отидахме в Дисниленд в Париж на училищна екскурзия, на почивка. Тогава ми казаха, когато отидахме там, че аз не мога да се кача на повечето от атракциите, защото съм неспособна да виждам. Бях тъжна, съсипана и много безпомощна в този момент. Не мога да повярвам как всичките ми приятели отидаха да се забавляват, а аз не можех да направя нищо без придружител. Това ме натъжава всеки път. Защо винаги трябва да се случва така? Аз също съм човек. Също искам да се забавлявам. Не е честно.
The person with the wool circles the group.
So, I want to tell you about my friends and family, and how every day I am not seen as myself. How every day I'm misgendered. When you're at work, it's fine. They don't know me, I don't know them. Well, forget that. But when the people you love, you care about and trust, can't seem to show that in return. And I understand people make mistakes. I get it. It just hurts. And it hurts especially when your own mother comes up to you crying, saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't see you for you. She can't get she. And I can never explain that.
So I got a call from a friend asking me if I want to participate in the training in UK. And because I was free, I just checked where my passport is, and literally the next day I was sitting on the plane, already being excited what this training will bring me. But on the way, I also realized that half of our Slovenian team is missing because they couldn't get visa on time. Even if our association applied 8 weeks before the training, the people that trained for months that would bring amazing knowledge and wisdom here couldn't come because bureaucracy. I felt privileged. I also felt privileged on the airport because persons with Slovenian nationality always went through the checks smoothly, while another person with a refugee status was always stopped and checked individually. That's where I realized what the power passport holds. The power to divide us, to the us and the others.
The participant sitting on the floor at the front lifts their head and speaks next. The person with the wool circles one way and returns to wait.
So, my story is a little bit different. My story is about a time when I felt really included. Growing up all through school, I was forced to do PE lessons and I wasn't able to do the sports days. And that's when I first realised that I wasn't like the other kids. But then something changed. There was a shift. 5 years ago, I started a college course called Performing Arts, and walking into the room for the first time, I felt like I was being treated as a person. I wasn't being seen as the thing that should and shouldn't do these things. I even ended up doing a dance class. Of all the things growing up, I never thought I'd step foot in a dance class. I can never truly express how gratifying that experience was.
The person with the red wool and red top addresses the audience.
In Bulgaria, it's a tradition that people put a bracelet on their wrist made out of red string. It brings luck and it's a form of protection from evil and dark spirits. It's important that the string is red because the devil wears the color red. Everyone wears it, babies, children and adults. Even in the past, brides, on their wedding day, they were wearing a red dress to bring good luck and fortune to their new families. We are all tied together by a red string, and that symbolizes our connection to each other.
They unwind the wool from each other and gather it together. As they gather the wool, 4 other participants come forward, each with a chair. These participants stand behind their chairs in a spaced out group and gaze straight out. The departing participants with the wool go back to their places. The participants behind the chairs move away. As they do so, the stage lighting gradually changes to a cold blue. The 4 of them return into this cold space. Each of them guides another participant to their chairs and waits behind them for a moment. They then drift away. The participants in the chairs look straight out. Those participants acting as guides reappear and go back behind their chairs, each with an item. From left to right, these items are a linked jewellery chain, a plastic drink bottle, a red ball of wool, and an old wool blanket. In a moment, the lights go out and the items are used to make noises in the pitch black behind the seated participants. Vocal sounds are also created. Darkness falls. With the sound of a beep, the lighting changes to a pale yellow. A guide participant comes forward and those behind gently sway.
Give you an overview of my past. It's never been easy. I remember being bullied for the majority of my life. I remember one day a knife being thrown at me, a few days later a scissors. I never felt safe. I got into abusive relationships and I never felt happy. But that was all to change in December 2021.
The seated participants remain motionless as the items are used on and around them. Chain and bottle, touch and crush, wool and blanket, wrap and flap.
I feel cold.
trapped.
I feel afraid.
I feel miserable.
I can sense danger.
I feel locked away.
I feel stuck.
Another guide participant comes forward.
So this story is from when I was about 15. I've been trying to convince my mum to let me go see a doctor about my mental health. I've been feeling low and figured I need someone to talk to. After a few conversations, some arguments, and a few overnight trips to the hospital, we made an appointment. Now, it started off the bog standard appointment. He asked me questions about my mental state, if I'd been eating properly, if I'd been sleeping properly, how school was going. Then he started asking me questions that I thought were a bit strange.
The guide participant goes back, followed by 3 beeps. 3 more participants come forward and go back to back in a triangle with linked fingers. 2 look out to the sides and 1 looks forward. The person who looks forward is the one to speak.
Традиционна ученическа изложба. Ние бяхме 12-ти клас и въпреки всички обещания, че тази година за нас ще има най-много място на изложбата, голяма част от 12-класниците не бяха допуснати да участват. Когато попитахме каква е причината за този отказ да бъдем включени, не получихме отговор. Това ни ядоса, защото цяла година се бяхме старали да направим картини, които да покажем там. И понеже смятахме достойни за изложба тези свои рисунки, решихме да направим малък бунт.
The trio revolve one place.
Na naši šoli vsako leto postavimo slikarsko razstavo. Študiram dizajn in slikarstvo in zelo se veselim te izkušnje. Ampak letos nam učiteljica ni pustila razstaviti naših slik. Zakaj? Zato, ker preveč eksperimentiramo, ker si damo duška, ker naš stil ni primeren.
The trio revolve one place again.
Every year our school holds a traditional exhibition. This year our paintings were not accepted because our style is too different. When we asked the director of the school why our paintings were not accepted to the exhibition, he didn't reply to us and behaved badly.
The trio go back and the seated participants are exposed to the touch and sound of the items again. A silver chain, a plastic bottle, a ball of red wool and a blanket.
I feel loved.
I feel scared.
I feel happy.
I sense scratchiness.
I feel trapped.
I feel calm.
I feel hate.
I feel safe.
With the sound of 3 beeps, a guide participant steps forward.
Some of these weird questions included, do your friends make jokes about you? And I said, yeah, but you know how friends make jokes about themselves. They make jokes about me, I make jokes about them, we move on. After a few more strange questions, this doctor looked at me and said, look, I don't think you're depressed. I just think you're sad because you're being bullied because you're fat. Now, I never mentioned my weight. I never mentioned anyone talking about my weight. This doctor just took one look at me and thought, this 15-year-old boy isn't depressed. He's just sad and fat.
The guide participant goes back. The trio of participants come forward again and reassemble their triangle, back to back with linked fingers. The person who looks forward is the one to speak.
Подредихме отхвърлените рисунки навън пред галерията. Поставихме ги по стативи, които бяхме донесли, по дърветата, по храстите. Нашата алтернативна изложба носеше заглавието "Изложба на отхвърляне". Първата реакция не беше одобрителна. Една наша учителка, която първо видя експозицията ни, много ни се ядоса. Каза, че сме я разочаровали с това, което сме направили, че не може да повярва, че нейни ученици биха направили такова нещо. Но после започнаха да идват случайни хора и да се спират на изложбата ни, да я одобряват, да ни окуражават. Така, първата изложба на това наше ново общество беше успешна. Винаги ще помня този ден и ще си го спомням с трепет, Защото тогава, колкото беше страхът от реакцията на хората, на директора, на учителите и на съучениците ни, толкова беше силен отборния ни дух, благодарение на който се събрахме и въпреки всичко, защото имаше препятствия, направихме тази първа наша изложба.
The trio revolve one place.
Kaj smo naredili potem? Vzeli smo naše slike in jih obesili po hrastih in drugih drevesih, po avtih, dali smo jih na parkirišče. Naša učiteljica in ravnatelj sta bila na začetku zelo jezna in razočarana nad nami. Nista mogla verjeti, da bi si privoščili nekaj takega. Ampak potem so prišli gostje. In tudi pomembni gostje. In navdušeni so bili nad našimi slikami. Bila jim je všeč naša izvednost. Potem je tudi učiteljica rekla, no, mogoče pa te slike niso bile tako slabe.
The trio revolve one place again.
So we decided to put our paintings on the trees and cars in front of the gallery. Our teacher was really disappointed and angry when she saw what we have done. But when the audience liked our stuff, she thought that maybe it wasn't such a bad idea.
As the trio go back, the space lightens and the items are used in a gentler way. The chain flows from hand to hand, the bottle is blown, the wool is unwound, the blanket gives warmth and comfort.
I feel hope.
I feel calm. I feel loved.
I feel warm.
I dream.
I can sense trust.
I'm happy.
I feel comforted.
With the sound of 3 beeps, a guide participant steps forward.
It all changed for me in December 2021. I remember emailing Mesa at the start of December, asking if I could join. I finally wanted to do something that I love and not what other people want me to do. And I remember walking up to the corridor, going through it, and coming up to 2 doors for the hall. And before I could even make it through the doors, someone shouted, "New person!" And about 10 people ran to me and hugged me. And it was the first time in my life I felt comforted, happy, safe. It was the first time I was free to be me.
The guide participant goes back. The guide participants take away the items. During a voiceover, they guide the seated participants back to their places, and at the same time as this, a white spotlight illuminates the central chair at the back of the stage, covered in a tangle of red wool.
In Bulgaria, there is a tradition to tie a red string around the wrist to protect us from evil spirits. We are all tied by a red string, and that symbolizes our connection to each other.
Rdeča vrvica okrog zapestja izhaja iz bolgarske tradicije in simbolizira zaščito pred zli duhovi. Hkrati pa simbolizira tudi povezavo med nami vsemi.
The 4 chairs on stage are removed.
България си връзваме червен конец в ти фурки извисили. Всички носим червен конец на ръцете си и това ни спотява.
With the stage bathed in a pale yellow light, a participant comes forward into the middle of the space.
I was excluded a few years ago at university, where I found a group of people who I thought were my friends, who then turned on me and pushed me away, left me feel alone.
The participant looks to the floor, and another edges forward.
When I became disabled, people stopped inviting me to social events. I felt like a burden.
The participant covers their face, and a third strides forward and sits cross-legged, shielding their face and looking to the floor.
In primary school, I was excluded because my friends didn't understand my twitches.
A fourth emerges and sits, head bowed.
I got told I couldn't do a reflexology course because I'm blind.
Another appears and assumes a mannequin-style pose.
All
fit the beauty standard?
A participant rises from their chair, hands clasped in front of them.
I was often excluded because I tend to fit in rather than stand out.
The participant turns side on and shields their face. Another comes forward, hands behind their back.
Заради моето изкуство, защото не се връзваше в нормите.
Two of the participants come to the front and speak to the audience side by side. The others behind them embody their words with simple gestures of their own, such as hugging themselves tightly for loneliness.
My friends think I'm happy, but in fact I'm sad. But I try and tell myself it's not so bad.
Feeling lonely in a crowded room and feeling all of these thoughts loom.
All these feelings of isolation make me lose my motivation.
I try to hide my limitations because my friends have this mask of expectations.
These states of separation and discrimination always leave me with a feeling of discombobulation.
My
happiness ends with loathing because of wolves in sheep's clothing.
6 of the 7 participants go back to their places. The remaining one, with a bowed head, crosses their arms and rubs them anxiously in the middle of the stage. The participant gazes into the crook of their elbow, as if cradling an imaginary baby.
I am worried.
Another participant approaches them from behind and lays their hands on their shoulders.
I am a guardian angel.
And a third goes closely in front of the other 2, leans back and reaches out.
I am struggling. I am worrying thoughts. I am cradling my arms like a baby. I am a guardian angel. I have my hands on worrying thoughts' shoulders. And I am struggling. And I am leaning back with my arms out. And I am a guardian angel, and I will take worrying thoughts.
The guardian angel sends the cradling figure gently back to their place.
Struggling.
Another participant links hands with them in support.
I am support.
A third comes between this pair and chops down close to their linked hands, stamping at the same time.
I am struggle. I am still holding my hands out in front of me. I am support. I take a hands of struggle and stretch. And I am hate. I chop my arm towards their linked hands.
I am support, and I take away struggle.
And the 2 of them go back to their places. Hate is left all alone with a suspended arm like a blade.
I am hate.
I am sadness.
Covering their face. A third participant is guided into the middle of the stage where they sit, hunched over, distraught. The guardian angel participant reads from a phone and describes the poses.
I am distraught.
I am hate. My arm suspends without hitting its target. I am sadness. I hide behind hate with facing my hands. I am distraught. I hunt on the floor, my hands cradling my knees.
Sadness touches hate on the shoulder and they go back to their places.
I take hate.
I am distraught.
A participant holds distraught and addresses the
I am
audience.
forgiveness.
Behind this pair, a person raises their arms and looks to the sky.
I am ray of light.
I am distraught. I stay on the floor. I am forgiveness. I offer hands of support to distraught. And I am a ray of light. I raise my arms up in the sky.
I am forgiveness, and I take away distraught.
And the 2 of them return to their places, arm in arm.
I am ray of light.
A participant sits cross-legged in front of Ray of Light and creates a heart-shaped motif.
I am a heart receiving the light.
The couple is joined by a third, who stands in front of them and reaches out.
I am lost. I have lost my way. I am a ray of light. I still shine on. I am a heart. I sit in front of the ray of warmth. I am lost. I stand just outside, reaching a light cannot find.
I am a ray of light and I take the heart.
Lost is surrounded by the group who hold hands in a circle.
I'm lost. I am lost. I am lost!
The group raise their arms in celebration.
You are found! You are found!
The circle sinks to the floor.
I spent my whole life trying to find my voice. I'm so tired of feeling like I'm walking through a void. I'm trying to get rid of some of my self-hate. It's a part of myself I'm trying to forget. I'm just starting to learn there are people in this world who love me. I'm caring and I like to share with my friends and family around me. I'm an actor, a friend, a family member. That's something I have to remember. I'm learning there are people that love me in this world. And to me that means so much. It means my whole world.
The participant who has been found helps a person in the circle get to their feet.
Намирам себе си в самотата и природата.
Another is helped to their
I
feet.
found myself when I joined the theatre group where I could freely express myself.
They continue to help one another.
I finally started to feel included when I met other visually impaired people. I felt like they really understood me.
They begin to form a line across the stage.
One of the first times I felt really included when I first joined Mass Theatre Company. Well, as soon as I walked in, I just felt like home. It just felt so safe.
I have found my way, and now I know my place is where you all will go.
The final participant in the group is helped to their feet.
I found my safe space when I joined UCAN Productions, who gave me the confidence to be myself.
I felt included at my university when I moved into my last flat. I found 2 close flatmates who've had my back ever since.
As the rest of the participants from around the stage join the group in the middle, the stage area brightens. During the song, the red ball of wool is passed from person to person, from right to left across the stage, with the loose end wound up as it goes along.
Woke up this morning, sparkled in my eyes, hanging from every corner, included after all this time. Let me find my safe space, look at myself like no one else, sun shining on my face, goodbye to my dark days.
In the bottom left corner, a baby appears, held up by a member of the audience in the front row. The red wool continues its journey, and participants sway to the music.
Woke up this morning, sparkles in my eyes, hangs round at every corner, included after all this time. Lucky to find my safe space, loving myself like no one else, sun shining on my face, goodbye to my dark days.
The red ball of wool ends up in the hands of the participant with the red top, finishing where the performance began. During the rounds of applause and the final few words, 2 audience members make themselves visible in the foreground, leaning forwards, clapping and wiping tears from their eyes. Everyone bows. Participants give each other a hug and wave out to the audience. The lights darken.
To know more, follow, and become part of our journey, visit our website, www.tiperasmusplus.org, and YouTube, at Theatre Inclusive Practice.